All right, I know you were just a fetus,
Right.
but is this close to your experience?
I've wanted to do a video on Barry for a while now, but every time I went to write one, it ended up just saying, Barry is good, thumbs up. I didn't really have anything to say that hasn't been said already, so I just moved on. Now that the series has ended, however, it has left us, the viewers, with a lot to think and reflect on, something I believe all good works of art should do. Barry is a dark comedy on HBO Max, or Max, or whatever it's calling itself now. Other than being one of the funniest shows I've ever seen, it's also really intense when it wants to be, and has a wonderful cast of characters. The thing that hooked me in the beginning was how flawlessly it could be gut-bustingly hilarious one moment and then be absolutely serious and dramatic the next, without feeling tone-deaf or out of pace.
I've never seen someone be happy and angry at the same time.
Spoilers for the entire show beyond this point. So today I want to talk about the character arcs in the show. A character arc is a character's journey through a story, usually depicting a large transformation within the character. That transformation always comes after a difficult choice that has to be made by the character. Zuko goes from villain to hero, Walter White becomes Heisenberg. Two major examples, but you get the idea. But does every story need character arcs? No, not necessarily. I don't think the Back to the Future movies have any, other than Marty letting go of his pride at the end, and those are still great films. In Barry, each main character goes through a significant journey where they question themselves and take action to change their lives, or find themselves in prison like Fuches does. But do they actually change? In Season 4, all of the main characters at some point in their respective journeys revert back to who they were at the beginning of the story. This character progression is actually foreshadowed by Barry exiting the darkness in the beginning of Season 2, only to head right back in at the end of the season. Let's start with Barry since he's the lead. Barry tries to change throughout the whole series, but never manages to. Even when he's in hiding, he teaches his son to practice a non-violent approach when solving problems, but then immediately resorts to violence to solve his own.
I'm gonna have to kill Kusa now.
He does finally make a decision that can be considered as an actual change, but it was right at the instant before he died, so I don't know if that counts. One could make the argument that he had his back against the wall, so he didn't really have much of a choice. They really had me with Kusa now. I really thought he had moved past his selfishness when he came back to LA. A few years away from the spotlight seemed to do him some good. Yes, he did make the choice to kill Barry at the end, but was that much of a change? His choice to put his pride before his commitment to Janice was ultimately his downfall. Like Barry, he pretty much remains the same until his last couple minutes on screen. Fuches is an interesting case. He pretty much stays the same the whole time until the time jump. I like how he becomes the Raven, the lie that the Chechens created for him as a fall guy. Fuches doesn't necessarily revert back, but his final scene indicates his forgiveness of Barry. It did feel like a return to me because of the way he looked at John and guided him out of that room full of mostly dead bodies. I got the sense that it reminded him of a different time with Barry. Hank. He really was the best part of the show, at least for me. Hank also stays pretty consistent until he leaves with Cristobal. He tries to start a new life, but his betrayal from Barry makes him distrust himself and most of the people around him. And I think PTSD from the lion incident also played a part as well. He reverts back to his old ways because that is what he's used to, and that's what's comfortable to him. And to him, it's probably the safer bet. But this decision ultimately gets the love of his life killed. Hank blames it on his enemies and buries the truth. No pun intended. I believe his arc comes, of course, just before his end, when he admits to himself that he is the reason for Cristobal's death. Hank, even in death you are a fox. Sally's transformation and regression is the most heartbreaking to witness, but I'm happy with how they ended her story. She leaves an abusive relationship to go to LA to become an actress. She becomes sort of a feminist icon for a bit, and then when it all goes to shit, instead of picking up the pieces of her broken career, she gives up and falls back into another abusive and controlling relationship. In the end, she finally admits to herself and her son that she killed someone, which was in self-defense, but I think saying it out loud and letting herself feel the weight of it was probably what got her to move past it. After which she was finally able to leave her abusive relationship once and for all, and find some sort of happiness and contentment. I think this scene here shows that she no longer needs a man's affection to be happy. Sally has a bittersweet ending, and I'm here for it. When looking at all these cases, it does occur to me that maybe these characters couldn't move past their scars because of one person. Barry. Fuches, Hank, and Kusa now only begin their transformations when they separate themselves from Barry, and many of the negative changes in their character came from him. Hank didn't doubt himself until learning of Barry's betrayal. Kusa now grew a spine while he was away and stopped caring about fame. Fuches became the Raven in the time he spent away from Barry, and perhaps Sally would have tried her career again if Barry hadn't shown up and given her an out. I am happy with the way the writers decided to end the story. I had a feeling they were going to end with the Barry Berkman movie when they mentioned it earlier this season, kind of like the end of that Nick Cage meme movie. Overall, I give the series an A+, and I would recommend it to anyone. Maybe if I had one thing to change, it would just be at the very end, instead of Kusanao killing Barry, Barry turns himself in, and on the way to the police station while they're stopped at a light, Lily from the Lily and Ronnie episode breaks into the car and eats Barry's face off. I don't know why, I really wanted her to show back up again, you know? I felt like that episode was so iconic, and that character was so interesting, and it would have been really cool to have her come back and take revenge, but whatever.
What are you?
Anyway, that's it. See ya.
Espresso, but it's triple shot. I don't sweeten it. Y'all getting slapped on cause you sleeping in. Oh God, aside from me, I don't believe in shit. I'm done fucking, but she telling me to leave it in. Lot of blessings piling up that I ain't even wished for. None left over for y'all. I'm locking the fridge door at the crib, cutting hits. I ran through the cat.